came from the midst of the fire, and the satraps, administrators, governors, and the king's counselors gathered together, and they saw these men on whose bodies the fire had no power. Right there it says, on whose bodies the fire had no power. Man, that's powerful. The hair of their head was not singed, nor were their garments affected. And the smell of fire was not on them. Man, if that's not the impossible, I don't know what is. I'm sure we've all been around a campfire. Man, I've been around a campfire for 2 minutes, and you leave, and that smoke's all over your clothes. You got to wash your clothes. You got to whatever, throw them in there, get the bounce lint sheets on the dryer. Man, we've all been around the fire. You're definitely, if you're around a campfire, you're definitely, man. I've been barbecuing, and I'm just doing on the regular barbecue. I'm getting, I've had a hot fire. I call it fill the grill, Operation Fill the Grill. If I'm going to light a charcoal grill, I'm going to fill that whole thing up. You got your burgers, your brats, your dogs, your veggies, your taters. And so I get that thing hot. Man, them arm hairs on my hand, they're getting singed up if I get that thing too close. Man, miracle after miracle over miracle with these guys. Because they had it in their mind and a thought that God is able. God is able. You've seen it, brother, recently, right? All right. We're on the same page. God is able. God is able. Man, not even the hairs on their head were singed. What we look at prior, the dudes that threw them in the fire, they got off because they were too close to the fire. But God protected his people when they made a stand for him. But they also said, even if not, we're still going to serve God prior to that. All right, we're going to skip, for sake of time, we're going to skip over to Daniel 6. Daniel 6, another powerful example of grit. I got to find my spot. 6, we're going to look at 3 and carry it down here. Catch my spot. Daniel 6, verse 3. Then this Daniel distinguished himself above the governors and satraps because an excellent spirit was in him. An excellent spirit was in him. I believe he was looking to do the best he could. He's looking to do with excellence. He was looking to serve and to the best of his ability. And the king gave thought to setting him over the whole realm. Verse 4, so the governors and satraps sought to find some charge against him. Again, they're trying to flip the script against him again. They're trying to flip the script against God's people. They're trying to find some charge against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could not find no charge or fault because he was faithful, guys. He was faithful. You got that up there? Verse 4. They couldn't find any charge or fault. He was faithful to God. Man, that is so important, guys. Don't be swayed by the opinions of men. Don't be swayed by your peers trying to lead you astray. People trying to lead you a different way. Man, it is so important to stay faithful to God. Nor was there any error or fault found in him. And this was a man of integrity, man of character. It says there was no error or fault found in him. Verse 5. Then these men said, we shall not find any charge against this Daniel unless we find it against him concerning the law of his God. So these governors and satraps thronged before the king and said thus to him, King Darius, live forever. All the governors of the kingdom, the administrators, satraps, and the counselors and advisors have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whoever petitions any god or man for 30 days, except you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions. And I guess a harsh punishment back then. We don't have that kind of persecution here right now, guys. Verse 8. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing so that it cannot be changed. according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which does not alter. Therefore, the king Darius signed the written decree. Verse 10. They're trying to trap. They're setting the trap again. They're setting the trap again. Here goes. Verse 10. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went home. And in his upper room, with his windows open toward Jerusalem, he knelt down on his knees 3 times that day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as was his custom since early days. So he's just continuing to do what he normally does, and he's not going to waver from other decrees, other laws that were changed, even just to trap him. He's going to continue worshiping. He's going to continue praising and praying to the God of the Bible, the God of creation, the God who saved him before. And he knows that he's saved him before. He can save him now. He can save him again. And so I just encourage you, kind of on a side note, Romans 12, 1 and 2, it says, do not be conformed any longer to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to attest what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. And so again, we're trying to reiterate over and over to get into God's word, and we're going to know what it says about us and what it says about our God. Hey, where are we at? Appreciate the help. And so, where are we at? Verse 11? All right, we're getting closer, guys. Stick with me. So he's continuing to do what he normally and usually does. He's praising the Lord. Verse 11. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. And they went before the king and spoke concerning the king's decree. Have you not signed a decree that every man who petitions any god or man within 30 days, except you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which does not alter. Verse 13. So they answered and said before the king, that Daniel, who is one of the captives from Judah, does not show due regard for you, O king, or for the decree that you have signed, but makes his petition 3 times a day. And the king, when he heard these words, was greatly displeased with himself. See, as we look at this, I think he was hasty. He was hastily signing something. I don't think he got all the details. He got all the info, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. He was taking his time. 15. Then these men approached the king and said to the king, know, O king, that it is the law of the Medes and Persians that no decree or statute which the king establishes may be changed. So there's no way out for him. He's got to follow through with what he signed. 16. So the king gave the command, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. But the king spoke, saying to Daniel, your God, whom you serve continually, he will deliver you. Man, that's powerful. Not only Daniel is having faith in the Lord, other people that seeing his life represented is saying, hey, God's going to bring you through this. So my encouragement and challenge, not to overthink it, but others will and can be encouraged and challenged by your walk with God. Others can be encouraged and challenged by how you choose to serve God. Will you choose to lead and be an example? So your obedience to serve God consistently, faithfully, that can encourage someone else to be faithfully obedient to the Lord as well. There's been people I can look in my own life, man, these guys are just consistently serving the homeless. They're consistently preaching the gospel. And they encourage me, myself, to do the same, or like-minded, or whatever God has called you to do. And so he is saying that God will deliver you. He will deliver you. Because he's seen it with his own eyes. He's probably telling that story over and over again. He lived this. He lived that story of the impossible. He saw it, and he had a mind change and a heart change. He saw the miracles happen prior in the fiery furnace. He said, man, that's impossible. And now he's saying to them now, he's saying, in other words, I believe the impossible can happen. Verse 17, then a stone was brought and laid on the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and with the signets of his lords, that the purpose concerning Daniel might not be changed. Now the king went to his palace and spent the night fasting. Man, and no musicians were brought before him. Also his sleep went from him. Then the king arose very early in the morning and went in haste to the den of lions. He wanted to see quickly how Daniel was doing. He was actually probably looking quickly to see how the night went and see how he's doing. Verse 20, and when he came to the den, he cried out with a lamenting voice to Daniel. He's crying out in faith. He hadn't seen Daniel. He's crying out by faith. He doesn't know what happened yet. The king spoke, saying to Daniel, Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to deliver you from the lions? He's asking him, has your God been able to deliver you? Then Daniel said to the king, O king, live forever. My God sent his angel and shut the lion's mouth, so that they have not hurt me, because I was found innocent before him. And also, O king, I have done no wrong before you. Now the king was exceedingly glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no injury was found on him, because he believed in his God. Man, no injury, nothing. They're going to show, I'm going to finish in a second. They're going to show you, the writer here, how hungry these lions were and how much, again, of a miracle that it was. It says here in verse 23, because he believed in his God. He believed. He had faith to believe. Verse 24, we're going to get to our first closing here.
Our first closing.
And the king gave the command, and they brought those men who had accused Daniel. See, people are trying to set you up. If people are trying to set you up, guys, like these guys are trying to set them up, let God handle it. God can handle the stuff that happens here. I'm serious, guys. I know it can be difficult, it can be tough. It's still okay to have, what I'm saying is, if I can boil it down, is let God handle it overall. God can handle the things that happens in the house. God can handle the things here. That's just the best general statement. I'll get to your question later. That's the best way that I can say it, is let God handle those things. Verse 24, here it goes. And they brought those men who had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions. Them, hey guys, look right here, their children. They cast their children and wives, and so their consequences didn't just affect themselves. Their disobedience affected their families as well. Our obedience can impact and influence others. Our disobedience, or other people's disobedience, can impact and influence others as well. Man, they threw themselves, their children, and their wives, and the lions overpowered them and broke all their bones into pieces before they even came to the bottom of the den. Wow. Even before they touched the floor, they're breaking their bones.
Wow.
So what I'm saying is, man, that's even such a powerful miracle that God did with Daniel here. As you can see, the evidence is such a miracle. He's obeying God. He's serving God. Again, we serve God not when things are going well. We serve God no matter what the situation or circumstance may look like, my friends. And then we're going to see the results of this here. Verse 25. Then King Darius wrote to all. He wrote this because Daniel is faithful. He wrote this because of Daniel had integrity. He served their God faithfully. We can learn a lot from Daniel as men of God, guys. To all peoples, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied to you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom, men, must tremble and before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God and steadfast forever, and his kingdom is the one which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall endure to the end. He delivers and rescues. Come on, that's for us right now too. He delivers and rescues. He works signs and wonders in heaven and on earth. He who has delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. And so because, again, I'm bringing us home that Daniel was obedient, and because of that, it affected the whole known world where he is in authority. Where he is in authority, it's affecting the whole world and this whole region, this nation here. That he's saying everyone is to worship right here, the God that Daniel serves, the God that Daniel is, because he's a living God. Guys, we serve a living God. He's still alive. He's still on the throne. He is still victorious. Like Pastor Nick said yesterday, we don't have to just work something up. We can naturally worship God all the time. We naturally worship God. It should be like natural to us, like a flower blooming. That it's just natural to happen. We get to worship God. I'm about to share just a short video, but if I can recap a little bit, guys, from David, from Daniel, there's guys throughout the whole Bible that there's men and women. You look at Esther, you look at even Mordecai to trust in the God. You look at people in the Acts of Peter and continue, guys. Okay, this is real. This is real. God is real. This is real life here. Amen.